Hello and welcome for our little brief talk right before the lecture today, a third lecture for February, uh, let's see, it would be February 17th, I believe. We've gone through basically introducing the Earth, the layers in the Earth. The final layer is the crust, which is made up of continental rocks and oceanic rocks. And so the ocean is made up of dense rocks, basalt, and gabbros, which sink deeper into the mantle, so that's where water starts filling up. So now, what happens when you have the first water on the planet? We've talked about the water cycle grinding, dissolving the land, and slowly transporting it into the ocean. We talked about it in terms of salt, but it also picks up clay and sand-sized particles, and those build up on the floor of the ocean, so it doesn't stay bare rock for very long. After millions of years, although it's a slow accumulation in many areas, it will wind up being hundreds to thousands of feet of what we call sediment, which is small particles that no plants are growing in. And so I have here an example of when we drill into the ocean, down into, here at the bottom right of this picture is solid rock. Everything else above that goes sequentially up until you get closer to the surface. Now they've cut out some of the sections, but they're showing you all the different colors, all the different layers. You can actually see a lot of detail. What does this mean? Well, the sediment in this core on the far right was deposited at the very beginning of when this ocean rock was formed, so up to 300 million years ago, as we've talked about. Probably a lot younger than that for most ocean rock, because it's not all that old, but 300 million years at the oldest. And it was building up different material based on where it was on the globe, where that ocean rock was. And remember, they move over time as they get pushed further and further away from the mid-ocean ridge. That may change the climate of the water above them, so it may go from the tropics to temperate environments. The land that it's close by starts weathering more, and so you get different material. And as the water temperature changes, you get different organisms that are in the water. So in this lecture, we're going to be looking at all these differences, but the background, the reason we're looking at these differences is what do these rock and sediment particles and shells, microscopic shells and macroscopic shells, tell us about the history of this location in terms of what was going on in the water above it or on the land near it that the sand transported to. So that's kind of the idea behind this lecture and why we go into so much detail. So we've gone the base rock, the sediment. The week after this, we'll talk about the water itself, and then after that, we'll start talking about the ocean patterns in a bigger picture. And so that's just what I wanted to kind of give you a background of where we're going and why we're looking at each chunk in detail. This week will be all about sediment, so please do read ahead. Think about what you could learn from ocean drilling into these sediments and what they tell us.